Such a magnificent day outside. Last night we had a tremendous amount of rain, but it's just beautiful right now. This, of course, is the 21st Sunday in Ordinary Time. First reading Isaiah chapter 22, verses 19 to 23. Shebna was the king's steward who used his position for his own personal gain at the expense of others who were not in a position to defend themselves. Yahweh has Isaiah deliver his message that Shebna is to be replaced by Eliakim, who used his authority, represented by the keys, as steward to faithfully serve the king in the kingdom. With that sets the stage, we go right into the gospel reading, Matthew chapter 16, verses 13 to 20. Jesus asks, "Who do the people say that the Son of Man is?" The replies are that the people think that he is one of the many important Jewish religious figures of the past come back. But Peter responds, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." Jesus comments that the answer Peter has given came to him from God and not from any human source. All good and true things of any kind, radically, though often quite remotely, come from God, the only source of what is truly good and true. Jesus says, "You are Peter," a word which means, name which means rock, "and upon this rock I will build my church." And he guarantees that the gates of the netherworld shall not prevail against it. The guarantee that the church will prevail until the end of time is not based on Peter's strength or wisdom, but on God's. Jesus continues, "Whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven." The giving of authority to the church assumes that the power to bind or to loose is exercised under the supremacy of God's will. Some people claim that this authority was given personally to Peter only. However, that would mean that Jesus is saying that he will build his church on a man who is dead. And if only he has the authority to lead the church, therefore on an authority which is dead. To the contrary, Jesus has given the authority, symbolized by the keys, to whoever takes the position of authority that Jesus has established over his church. The church, with the Pope now, who has the keys, as its leader, is the steward of the King, who is Jesus. Peter just happened to be the first person to hold that position of authority that we call the papacy. Because Peter, as the first pope, has been given the visible authority to lead the church on earth under the spiritual guidance of God. Jesus says to Peter in John 21, and then succeeding verses 15c, 16c, and 17c, respectively, "Feed my lambs, tend my sheep, feed my sheep." The next line, Jesus tells his disciples to tell no one that he was the Christ. To make the claim to be Messiah to people not properly prepared or disposed in a timely way would only create barriers to their believing in him. Now on to the second reading, Romans chapter 11, verses 33 to 36. Oh, how magnificent is our God! Oh, how spectacular! Oh, the depth of the riches and wisdom and knowledge of God! How unsearchable his ways! His ways are forever and ever beyond our minds. We are finite. He is infinite. He is our God. We are not. We glory in the God who is our God over us. Our God over us, loving us. From him and through him and for him are all things. To him be glory forever. Amen. When we give praise and adoration, we come to him mostly from our heart and little from our mind. It is the pouring out of our hearts, and with little use of the grasping, comprehension, understanding by our minds. We do not so much take hold of him, but we rejoice that he takes a hold of us through his omnipotence. May God bless us all this Sunday and every Sunday in our path to heaven.